Hey, Cory, how are you today?
Hey, good, Carmen. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being on. So we are blessed to have Cory Parsons with us today. He is one of the top producing agents in the state of Tennessee with eXp Realty, and he's going to give us some tips and tricks on how he got there, and hopefully we can all learn from his wisdom today. So, Cory, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here at eXp.
Sure. So I've been in the business about 9 years now. I started as a graphic designer for an advertising agency, and then they worked me to death, and so I decided to be my own boss and got my real estate license. I think that was in 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, and I then moved to Century 21, worked there for about 5 years. 6 years, and then I've been with eXp since. Um, it's frankly the best company out there with the best benefits to the agent. Gives all the power back to the agent, and if I hadn't have made the job, I wish I would have made it sooner. But yep.
So you like being here?
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's amazing. The stock and the rev share. It gives all the avenues of making money that any owner or broker would have back to the agent, and gives you part ownership of the company. It's I don't know why any agent works anywhere else.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think we have the best tools available to us as agents for sure. So I think we've lost your video a little bit, but I think I can still hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So I know that you're one of the top producing agents in the state. So would you think that the tools that eXp provides you is one of the things that's allowed you to reach that level of production?
Yeah, I think definitely it helps with the one of the major reasons I switched, and one of the major reasons I see other agents come to eXp, is because eXp allows the agent to brand and focus their marketing on them. Not It's not really EXP focused, it's agent focused. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, and with my marketing background, I felt like that was a huge benefit, that I could market myself with my own branding and use EXP supplementally.
Right. No, I agree. And you mentioned before we started recording that you've recently hired an admin person. So I know, well, at least I feel like myself and most of the agents that I'm close to, we're kind of control freaks. Like we'd probably do the inspection and the appraisal all if they'd let us, right? So,
Yeah.
so what was it like turning over some of your duties to an admin, and how would you advise other agents that are looking at that for how to know when the right time is to do that and how to pick the right person?
Yeah, so interview several. You want to have someone who enjoys doing the back end of the transaction, um, who's going to compliment you. Usually, most agents are extroverted. Maybe you want an introverted person. Maybe you want someone who's analytical. You're going to have to teach them the ropes on how a transaction works. You can get one that's already licensed, or you don't have to have a licensed person, as long as you're doing the showing and the listing and what all. Really, you just got to teach them the paperwork and have them be your right hand man or woman. And I wish I had done it sooner. Mine's name is Rachel, and she's fantastic. And I can call her any day or night. We're in the trenches together. Um, I would say the right time is if you're over 40 to 60 transactions, and you'll see your transaction count go up even further, if you just give some of that work, of the busy work, away and allow her or him to help you out, because it's your job to meet the client and customer and show them houses and go on appointments and speak to them in their house and list their house and be the advisor. It's not, yes, there's the other duties of doing the transaction, but you can get brought in during the home inspection and negotiate that. But everything else can be handled by a transaction coordinator.
All right. So you would say that that's definitely helped you focus on the things that actually move the needle in your business instead of doing the paperwork and just the admin stuff.
Yeah, because the agent is the figurehead. It's the focus. you're the advisor, to come in and speak to them about the things that you're most knowledgeable about. And if you're being tasked with that, then you're going to be successful.
Love it. So, what are some of the tools and tips that you use to further your production? Like, what tips can you give them? Like, as far as maybe lead generation goes, or what are some of the things that you feel like is your niche and that you really excel at that's pushed your business to the next level?
So I managed to get in the investor pool niche. I had a few clients that branched off from companies that have retired and wanted to do something else with their money to make more money off of their IRAs and 401ks after they retired. And I got pretty good at identifying ARVs is the term that we use in real estate. That's after renovation values. And that's just being smart on your local market and seeing how much, if an investor adds to a house, or they could flip it for. Um, and now I do about 120 transactions with one investor, and about 40 transactions with another investor, and about 30 transactions with another investor, and about 10 to 20 transactions with another investor. And
Wow.
um, I'm always going on appointments, seeing distressed houses and seeing what they can go for. That is called an SOW, a scope of work. And we have to basically go inside a house and tally up the expenses and renovation costs, and see if the equation at the end of the day is going to work, see if it's going to be profitable.
So, would you encourage agents that maybe are having a hard time getting started or not real sure which direction to go in their business? Would you encourage them to find a niche and find something within the business they're passionate about, like you've done?
Oh, yes, absolutely. First steps, I'd say, is try to brand yourself to be different than any other agent. Come up with a logo, come up with some marketing tactics that's going to help you stand out, and then attack for sale by owners. That's how I got my start. Every time I saw that red sign, I'd pull a Yui, pull in their driveway, knock on their door, call the sign. Of course, I got a couple FUs. Hey, get out of my driveway. But it's a numbers game. You have to just hit a lot of them, and then you start to develop. You're known for real estate, and but yeah, definitely a niche. If you can get into, any type of investors, or because that's still very profitable for a lot of people. I'm in Northeast Tennessee, and there's a lot of big money that's coming into this area, and we have a lot of older distressed homes that's being remodeled.
That's interesting. Because I think a lot of times agents don't really think about a niche, so to speak, especially when you're new. You just want to sell anything to anybody that breathes.
Yeah,
How did you determine that was the niche that you wanted to pursue?
I think it kind of chose me. There's some agents that dislike it a lot because it's more like a business. It's less like, and it's more like a job than it is working with your buyers and sellers. That is, it's more emotional for them. People who've owned a house for 20 or 30 years and they decide to sell it, or if it's a buyer and it's first time home buyer, there's a lot more emotions in that side of things. And it is more rewarding. Occasionally I'll get a first time home buyer and they're like, "Oh, Cory, thank you so much," versus my investors, they're just like, "Well, you did your job, so you made us money." So there's pros and cons to it, but it is consistent work, which is what we all strive for, is
Right.
consistently.
Right, and I think sometimes the emotions that come with real estate, it um, depends on your personality if you're able to handle that or get sucked into it,
Yes.
because it definitely happens.
One thing, Carmen, that I've seen that it has grown me exponentially is understanding construction and understanding expenses and understanding, like, home inspections, being able to talk through home inspections. I think that's a downfall of agents, and especially new agents, is understanding we're selling this product. We have to understand how it's built, and we should at least take a little education on because there's a lot of home inspectors that are just flat out wrong. Um, I've seen it time and time again. They just couldn't work a thermostat, or didn't understand how plumbing. I mean, it's just mean, because it's a 2 week long class, just like our real estate, and
Right. Right.
so it's our job to be the educators and be the advisors, especially for homeowners, and so if we don't understand construction, it's you know, you know it's a downfall.
So, what did you do to educate yourself on those things?
So I work closely with the investors, project coordinators, uh, I guess they're called contractors. And when we go to the scope of work, it just takes time when you go and you go to Lowe's with them, you price things out, you contract some things out like electrical and plumbing, and you see that really those are plumbing is some of the most inexpensive things that with a house but you know home inspectors make it the biggest deal ever. And material costs really aren't huge. Yeah, but labor is, and so if your investors do it themselves, then they can save a lot of money. And so yes, being able to talk through the home inspection is huge.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's sometimes you get some doozies.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's also where emotion comes in, especially if you're dealing with a first time home buyer or,
So
and
here's a tidbit for agents. A lot of times, home inspectors will break it apart in acceptable, marginal, and defective repairs.
mm-hmm,
When I get that phone call from a seller or a buyer and be like, "Hey, did you see the home inspection? God," I'm like, "Yeah, it's one of the better ones I've seen this week. Where in the defective section would you like to ask for repairs?" Just immediately remove the whole report and just let's go to the summary. Like, which one of these repairs would you like to ask for? And they're like, "Oh, well, what do you mean it's one of the better ones you've seen?" Well, let's look at it together. It immediately kind of checks them and says it's not the end of the world.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of sellers are willing to make repairs if you just give them a
mm-hmm.
chance.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times they are, especially because like how bad they want to sell their house. But I do think a lot of it is in the presentation
Yes.
and how you go about educating both sides of the transaction.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of that too comes with expectations that you set early on with the relationship that you set with your clients.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. So how do you structure so you're dealing with investors? Do you have a lot of late night calls, weekend calls? How do you set boundaries between your business and personal life? Or do you?
That's probably the toughest question you're asked, because this business, everyone knows if you've been in any amount of time, it starts to bleed into every portion and section of your life, and you at the beginning you really do kind of have to have it first to get started. Um, especially I've got a growing family, so it's hard.
Mm-hmm, hmm
You have to you do have to turn the phone off though, like 9 p.m. Turn it off. I still work Saturdays. I try not to work Sundays. But if somebody gives me a phone call, say, "Hey, Cory, come out and look at our house. We'd like to try to see what it's worth." I still try to make time to do that. But at the beginning, it's just like any small business. You have to get it up and going. You have to roll that ball as fast as you can, and then the business will start coming to you. So I think you really got to work hard at the beginning.
hmm No, I agree with that as well. Did you start out full time in real estate, or did you have another job when you started?
I didn't. I worked at an ad agency for about 3 years prior, and then I left that job. I got burnt out, and then I worked part time in an ad department or marketing department at a chemical company here in Kingsport, and I did that till 8 to 12 every day. Um, but eventually, it got out. I was answering phone calls and stuff during my time there, and then I had told a buddy that I thought was my buddy. I made $160,000 that year, and then that got around, and then I got a call into the office and said, "Hey, I'm probably giving too much information, but hey, I don't think we need you to come back." And so then I was like, "Oh, that's fine." But anyway, yeah, that's how I got my start.
Gotcha. I know because there are a lot of agents that or have other jobs and trying to start a real estate business when you're at work all day is a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to fully focus on it at all. Especially, you're not going to be able to show property if you're sitting at a desk somewhere, and so you kind of got to give it your all.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, I am certainly happy that you've been here. Tell us where you are right now.
So right now, like physically, I'm
Yeah.
actually outside of a scope of work at a farmhouse that's behind me here, and we're going to try and get it remodeled and get it back on. I got to give him the ARV in just a second. This is in Chuckey, Tennessee. It's rural Tennessee, and we'll remodel this farmhouse. Looks like it's going to need a roof, and see what it's going to take to get it going again.
Well, I certainly appreciate you taking time out of especially your work schedule to chat with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with?
No, just go at it. Really try hard. You can do it. Anybody can do this business. It's really hard to lose in real estate, especially if you become an investor yourself. The beautiful thing is you got with eXp, you've got stock that you can buy 5% out of every check. Mine's now almost at 200,000, and so you just gotta. I've been here 3 years. It's a beautiful thing. I thank goodness for this company, and buy a few rentals. That's some supplemental income, and then also do your other production, and you'll be successful. Just hang in there. There's some tough times, but hang in there, weather the storm, and anybody can be a successful agent with eXp.
Thank you so much, Corey.
All right,
I'll
thank you,
get
Carmen.
back to your work.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.